Suppose you awaken tomorrow in Tudor England sometime between 1485 and 1603. To survive, you need employment. What are your choices? You could stand knee-deep in fermented human waste for 12 hours daily. Alternatively, you might rise to a high-ranking noble tasked with overseeing the monarch's bowel movements and cleaning the royal posterior. Or, if fortune favors you, you could land the night shift, descending into cesspits filled with poisonous gases that frequently asphyxiated your colleagues. On second thought, scratch that last option. Richard the Raker tried it, and let's just say his story ended tragically. You're about to explore 12 occupations from Tudor England that were so utterly horrific, so staggeringly revolting, they make your worst workday seem like a holiday in the Caribbean. And before you assume I'm overstating, wait until you learn about the man whose official job title centered on the king's toilet habits. Yes, that was a genuine role with a paycheck, and believe it or not, nobles vied for it. Let me transport you to an era where workplace dangers meant literally drowning in human excrement, where job-related injuries included feet eroded by urine, and where perks included keeping any dead rats you found. These aren't fabricated tales of terror, they're real jobs that actual people performed day in, day out, year after year in Tudor England between 1485 and 1603. Number 1, the pin crafter. Let's begin with what might appear the least dreadful job on this list, but rest assured, by the end you'll see why even this seemingly simple trade was a waking nightmare. In Tudor England, pins weren't the factory-made items we know today. Each pin was crafted by hand through 18 distinct steps, 18 for a single pin. A typical pin crafter was expected to produce thousands daily. You take brass wire, straighten it manually, cut it into segments, sharpen one end with a file, attach a tiny wire head, hammer it flat, and then polish it in sacks of bran and chalk dust, shaking them for hours. The dust infiltrated your lungs, eyes, and hair. Pin crafters often suffered from brass founder's ague, likely heavy metal poisoning from inhaling brass particles all day. A skilled worker might produce 4,000 pins daily, repeating each step 4,000 times. The meticulous work ruined eyesight, with many pin crafters going blind by their 40s, their eyes destroyed from focusing on tiny metal tips in dim light. Repetitive motions caused debilitating arthritis, and the pay, mere pennies for thousands of pins. Entire families, including children as young as 4 or 5, worked in pin crafting. By age 10, kids mastered the full process, their small fingers deemed perfect for the delicate task. By 30, they were often half-blind and crippled, replaced by the next wave of child laborers. The pin crafting trade was eventually extinguished by the Industrial Revolution, but for 3 centuries, these workers hunched over benches, slowly losing sight and mobility, creating the tiny fasteners that held Tudor England's garments together. Number 2, the canine disciplinarian. You might think we've covered the worst jobs, but we're just warming up. Tudor England had a knack for inventing roles that blended physical discomfort, public humiliation, and bizarre specificity. Take the canine disciplinarian, an official role in Tudor churches. Yes, you read that correctly, canine disciplinarian. Churches in Tudor England had a serious issue with dogs disrupting services. Imagine a Sunday morning at your local Tudor church. The priest struggles to deliver his sermon, the congregation is crammed in, and weaving through them are dozens of dogs. Lady Perrin's lapdog yaps at Farmer John's sheepdog, the blacksmith's mastiff urinates on a pillar, and 2 terriers brawl over a dead creature found under a pew. Enter the canine disciplinarian, armed with a long whip and wooden tongs, tasked with maintaining order among the furry flock. He'd patrol the aisles during services, ready to act. A dog barks, crack. 2 dogs fighting. Out come the tongs. But here's the twist. His authority extended beyond dogs. Unruly children, a lash. Young couples getting too affectionate, a whip. Someone dozing during the sermon, you guessed it, whip. The role had unique challenges. Whipping the squire's prized hunting dog could cost you your job, or your teeth. Records show canine disciplinarians attacked by angry pet owners, bitten by dogs they tried to remove, and generally struggling to maintain order in chaos. The role persisted into the Victorian era in some parishes, fading as bringing animals to church became frowned upon. Number 3, the headsman's aide. When we think of Tudor executions, we envision the dramatic moment, the axe falling, the crowd gasping. But someone handled the grunt work, sharpening the axe, testing the block, binding the prisoner's hands, and managing the aftermath. That someone was the headsman's aide, also called the executioner's assistant. The aide prepared the axe, a precise art since it needed to sever a neck cleanly in one strike. Too sharp, and it might chip on the block. Not sharp enough, and Bullen was fortunate to have a skilled French swordsman. During executions, the aide bound the prisoner, positioned them on the block, and sometimes held them steady if they struggled. Picture it. Your job is to hold someone still while your boss decapitates them. The real horror came post-execution. Heads weren't quietly buried, they were displayed on pikes. The aide retrieved the head, parboiled it with salt and cumin to preserve it, then tarred it for longevity. Yes, there was a recipe for preserving human heads. For treason, simple beheading was too lenient. Victims were hanged, disemboweled while alive, beheaded, and quartered. Guess who handled that? The role evolved as execution methods grew more humane, but the aide's task remained, performing the grim work that enabled state-sanctioned death. Number 4. The bear handler. Bear baiting was Tudor England's equivalent of modern football, a national obsession. Someone had to manage those massive, enraged animals, the bear handler. The job began with acquiring bear cubs, raising them through systematic cruelty to make them aggressive enough for entertainment. Bears were beaten, starved, and tormented, their teeth filed down and claws trimmed, not for mercy, but to prolong fights. On fight days, the handler chained the bear to a stake in the ring, released the dogs, and stayed in the arena, ensuring the chain held, replacing dead dogs, and sometimes prodding the bear if it wasn't fighting fiercely enough. One misstep, and the bear could turn on the handler. Records document handlers mauled to death by their bears, intelligent animals with long memories who didn't forget their torment. More than one handler was found dead in a bear pit, killed by a bear that had had enough. The job vanished when bear baiting was banned in 1835. Number 5. The filth collector. Tudor London streets were a nightmare. Imagine the foulest public restrooms spread across miles, mixed with dead animals, rotting food, and human waste. With no sewers or garbage collection, people tossed everything out windows, and it piled up in the streets. The filth collector's job was to scrape this mess into carts and haul it to dumps outside the city. Starting before dawn with long-handled rakes, shovels, and leaky carts, they worked in streets ankle-deep in filth on good days, knee-deep after rain. Beyond disease risks, they dodged chamber pots dumped from windows and dealt with bloated dead animals, like horses that could burst when moved, showering collectors in putrid flesh and maggots. Poorly paid, they supplemented income by selling anything valuable found in the muck. The job evolved with municipal services, but Tudor filth collectors had it worst, armed only with a rake and a strong stomach. If these historical revelations shock you, hit subscribe for more hidden truths, secret societies, forgotten scandals, and real conspiracies your teachers never mentioned. The filth collector's tale is just the start of history's weirdness. Number 6. The nitre digger. Saltpeter, vital for gunpowder, wasn't naturally abundant in England, so men with royal warrants dug up floors to collect nitrate-rich soil. Nitre diggers had legal authority to enter any building, stables, dovecots, churches, and excavate. Paid by the amount of earth collected, they tore through stone floors and wooden planks, leaving gaping holes for owners to fix. People loathed them, with records of homeowners attacking them with tools and villages uniting to drive them out. But they returned, warrant in hand, wrecking floors for national defense. The job ended when England began importing saltpeter from India in the 17th century. Number 7. The plague inspector. During London's plague outbreaks, bodies piled up faster than they could be buried. The city's solution: hire elderly women to check door to door for plague deaths. Plague inspectors, typically poor women with no medical training, were paid 4 pence per body to enter plague-ridden homes, handle corpses, and look for signs like buboes, blackened fingers, or bloody froth. Without masks or gloves, despised and blamed for spreading disease, they faced bribes to misreport deaths and violence when bribes failed. The role persisted into the 17th century, ending in 1836 with mandatory medical death certification. Number 8. The woad dyer. Woad, the main source of blue dye, was so foul that Queen Elizabeth I banned its production within 5 miles of royal residences. Woad dyers crushed woad leaves into a paste, mixed it with stale human urine, and fermented it in vats, producing an indescribable stench and toxic fumes that burned lungs, eyes, and skin. Many went blind, developed respiratory issues, or had blue-green skin from dye contact. Stirring vats for hours, some fainted and drowned or suffered chemical burns. Shunned even by other tradesmen, woad dyers were outcasts. The job faded with new dyeing methods. Number 9. The spit turner. In Henry VIII's palace kitchens, roasts needed constant turning for hours. Spit turners, often children as young as 7, crouched by hearths exceeding 100 degrees Fahrenheit, turning wooden handles endlessly. Wet rags on their faces and hands dried quickly, and stopping risked burning the meat, and a beating. Heat exhaustion was common. Fainting children were revived and sent back to work, often naked to avoid catching fire. Some worked 18-hour shifts during feasts. The job ended with mechanical spit turners in the 17th century. Number 10. The wool processor. To make wool into soft fabric, it was cleaned and compressed in vats of fermented human urine, collected from public pots. Wool processors, often children as young as 6, stomped barefoot in these vats for hours. The ammonia burned their skin and caused respiratory issues, and the stench was so bad they were banned from cities. The trade died with mechanical mills, but for centuries, every fine wool garment was processed by someone standing in urine. Number 11. The royal stool attendant. A coveted role among nobles, the royal stool attendant managed the king's portable toilet, monitored his diet and bowel movements, and performed intimate cleaning duties. Access to the king meant power, making the role a trusted confidence position. Attendants kept detailed records of the king's bathroom habits, some of which survive in British archives. The job faded after the Stuart period with better plumbing and professionalized physicians. Number 12. The cesspit cleaner. At 3 a.m. in 1547 London, while others slept, the cesspit cleaner descended into pits of fermenting human waste with a shovel and bucket. Working only at night due to the unbearable stench, they shoveled excrement knee or waist deep, risking toxic gas poisoning. Many, like Richard the Raker, drowned in waste. Paid 2 shillings a night, they faced high mortality from gases, drowning, and diseases. The job ended with 19th century sewage systems, but for over 400 years, cesspit cleaners kept cities from drowning in waste. There you have it, 12 Tudor England jobs that make your worst workdays seem like paradise. People endured these conditions for generations, facing death and disease while scorned by society. So, next time work feels rough, be glad you're not a cesspit cleaner, standing in urine or boiling heads for display. These jobs are gone, replaced by technology and better labor laws, but their legacy reminds us to value worker dignity. Imagine listing Royal Stool Attendant on LinkedIn, sanitary operations for executive leadership. I'll stick with my desk job, thankful for modern bathrooms and number 3 a.m. cesspit shifts. May these jobs rest in peace, forgotten and unrevived.